This is Johnny Yurco. Johnny Too Much for all the people who know me. Too much, Johnny, stop it. Johnny Too Much.
And what do you find yourself yelling at actors the most about prep firearms?
Get your booger hook off the bang switch. One of the most complacent things to do is to accidentally have your finger there. I mean, it's supposed to go there, but there's a certain time. So once you get used to it, you have a habit to stay there. That's something I would warn an actor, is just to make sure that it's off and on top, and keep your booger hook off that bang switch.
So like this? Is that, am I doing it right?
Yeah, just like,
okay.
I'm number one?
Okay.
Thanks!
Right. So what are we doing here today, Johnny?
Oh, we're running a couple of tactical drills and getting it on video so we could cut it together and put it into our stunt reel.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
And what is a stunt reel for?
It's kind of like a video resume for an actor or a stuntman who's in the more action-oriented field. The producers and the stunt coordinators see the video and they have a much better idea of what you could do, as just opposed to saying, hey, I could swim.
So it's almost like they don't believe us when we just say, sure, we can...
Well, you got to believe every actor you see. I mean. So what are you running today?
We had all sorts of toys here. So we'll cut to the video in a minute. Yeah, I think our DP is back and we're ready to rock on more.
Is this Facebook Live?
Oh, it's not live.
It's live, but recorded for later.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Moving. Move!
Back up.
Moving! Contact front! Move! Check! All right, so this was a fun project, but I feel like it needs a little bit of explaining and contextualizing. So where this came about was Jonathan called me up, or sent me a text or Facebook message, I forget, saying, hey, wanted to get some weapon-specific, firearm-specific demo reel footage for stuntlisting.com for my listing there, which is something where a lot of us stunt folks are listed, and it allows you to upload multiple demo reels with specialties. So I've already got one there for brawling, one for swords and other melee weapons, but I've been wanting to do a firearms one too, and I hadn't gotten around to it. So I was like, oh, heck yeah, I've been wanting to go shooting for ages, this will be great. But here's the thing, we didn't set out to make a short film. We didn't have really a concept or a script. We just knew we wanted to get some live fire training and some sort of tactical movement stuff in there, so that if anybody was casting and needed a SWAT team, a military group, special forces, whatever, that kind of background stunt group to get probably picked off by the enemies or the bad guys or whatever, that they would look at this and be like, oh yeah, those guys can do it. Now here's the thing, if we were doing this for a production, we would never use live fire. At most, we would use blanks. But we did not take the time to set these weapons up to fire blanks. Some of them we have adapters for, or the pump shotguns don't even need it. But yeah, it's this weird thing where coordinators sometimes appreciate people who can handle the real things. They have this I guess bias towards people who have quote unquote real life experience, or real world experience, or real weapon experience. And there is something to be learned from training with actual firearms. There is something to be learned with training with sharp swords, not necessarily swinging them at other people, but things like, if you look at my sword reel, you'll see I do some cutting practice with sharps. And what does that show? It shows that I know how to treat it like something other than a toy. It shows proper blade alignment and follow through, and that I have good form on my cuts, potentially. I'm not just kind of swinging it wildly. So with firearms, similarly, we want actors and stunt people who take them seriously and don't just think they're toys that they can, like, you know, I've talked about being on set with people who've kind of treated their firearms as fidget spinners when they were between takes. Not ideal. And if you can do it with the real thing, you have the sense memory for what recoil is like. You have those habits built in. And, you know, I would never do this with actors. Sorry. But Johnny Yurco, I know him through the Northeast Ohio stunt group that Mr. Fike runs. I know he's a firearms instructor at an actual range. I know he's done both theatrical and real firearms fairly extensively. He knew the same thing about me. He knew that I'd written a book on theatrical firearms. He knew that I'd trained in them. He knew I was a stunt person. He knew I ran a prop weapons armory. So we both trusted each other. Much more than we would ever trust an actor we didn't know or a stunt person we didn't know. And that was actually kind of fun. That's a rare treat to get to have someone who is like, I know that you're not going to flag me with this. And we were still double and triple, including Jason the DP, double and triple checking ourselves, because why would you not want to? There was nothing personal about, like, what do you mean you don't trust me? No, of course, yeah, here. Yep, weapon is cold. Empty magazine. Weapon is hot, safety coming off, right? We talk through these things. We verify them with each other. We would go through, oh, check, okay, check over here, yep. Because we want to be safe. The last thing anybody wants is to get hurt. The last thing anybody wants is to hurt someone else. And the whole point of this was to show competency. And so part of that is showing that we can be safe. None of the shots that were implied as going towards a street or a house or anything like that were. The weapons were completely unloaded and cold anytime they were aimed anywhere other than at the berm on this person's shooting range where we were. There was a sort of dedicated shooting area with a big hill behind it and a hardwood berm and things like that. So we had a safe direction to fire in, just one, which is why there may be some continuity issues with who's moving or aiming which way when firing, things like that. But you'll notice, like on the one where I do the magazine change with the AR, I start facing up the hill, but I don't actually fire anything up there. If you look closely, you may see what looks like me firing one, so that one's a digital. I added in a little bit of a digital flash on one of those, as well as the sounds to justify why I do a mag change, but really, I just wanted a demo reel showing I could do a mag change. So I start with a completely empty AR aimed up the hill, flip that magazine out, put a live magazine in, and come to where I can aim right at the berm. We're all doing that the whole time. We're being very conscious about going over or under, neither at someone, timing things off when we can see the camera person is coming around. No, we're never actually aiming anything at camera because there was a live camera operator. Now, it's not to say you can't do things like that, where you might put it on sticks or whatever, with blanks especially, but live fire, unless you're doing like a Mythbusters or something, there is no reason to be firing anywhere near the camera with a live round of anything. Please take this for what it is. It was a training exercise done by already highly trained, competent professionals in a controlled circumstance, with zero pressure from other authority figures saying, this is what we need, this is what you have to do to get the shot. It was fun, but it's fun being done by people who take safety very seriously. So please, 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 please do not take this as, hey, look, they did it, we can do it too. Let's just goof around and make a cool shoot. That was not the point of this exercise. So I just want to really reiterate that 1,000 times over for anyone who might be watching this. Don't try this at home. Train professionals, all that stuff. I mean, we say that sometimes even when it's maybe not necessary. Like, look, we did a front fall. Yeah, I mean, you can hurt your wrist doing a front fall. You can break your nose doing a front fall if you do it wrong, but you're not going to shoot a hole in someone with a 12 gauge, like, double-aught buckshot. When dealing with live firearms, do not try this at home, right? Leave it to the professionals. Go to the professionals. Train with the professionals. It's such a different world with firearms when you go from a public range where it's, you know, no rapid fire, no drawing, no movement, anything. You're putting a hole in a piece of paper. You're putting another hole in a piece of paper. You're trying to put a hole in a slightly different part of the piece of paper. And that's it. When you actually get into something like IDPA or IPSC, which are International Defensive Pistol Association, or what's IPSC stand for? They're different competitions, right? Where you have like an obstacle course and it's timed, and there's, you know, you have to do these shots from behind cover and those with your non-dominant hand and things like that. It's a whole different world, and it's a lot more fun. It's a lot more interesting. It's a lot more of a sport instead of a meditative exercise, I guess. But anytime you're dealing with live firearms, obviously you have to be super careful, starting with when you first touch them, right? Starting from when you check to make sure it's clear before you pack them up, ending with when you're cleaning them and before you pack them away and put those locks on them and lock them up like you need to do. A lot of accidents that happen in gun cleaning, because sometimes when you're field stripping it, you have to pull the trigger to do that. And people don't think, oh, wait, is there still one in the chamber? I took the magazine out. Yeah, there's still one in the chamber, and they just shot themselves, or they shot a hole in their television, or whatever. Don't be those people. Please, please, please be careful. Fun is all well and good, if and only if you can do it safely. Because once it's not safe, it's not fun anymore. Don't go there. But with Johnny and Jason, this was kind of fun. And so I'm grateful to them to have had the chance to get to do this again, because it's been a while since I was on a range, and I miss it. It was kind of fun. It's too expensive a hobby to do it all regularly, but getting to like play with other people's toys, some of mine, some of other people's, share around and share ideas and exchange notes about filmmaking and about choreography and about tactical firearms handling and all that stuff. This is what we do, right? So it was a fun weekend, and I'm glad we got to do it. So till next time, don't do anything stupid. Stay safe, stay sane, stay healthy, have fun, and I'll see you when I have time to make another video.